In recent years, Ukraine has been exploring the potential for a critical raw materials alliance with European and global markets. To achieve this, Ukraine is promoting cooperation and collaboration between stakeholders, creating a favorable policy and regulatory environment for this alliance. The country is also investing in new technologies and innovation for the production and processing of critical raw materials, as well as recycling and secondary recovery. The ongoing Russian invasion prevents Ukraine from the development of its mineral resources and from building sustainable supply to the international markets. Despite these challenges, the potential for a critical raw materials alliance between Ukraine and European markets is significant. It can help Ukraine to increase its economic growth while providing European countries with a secure and sustainable source of these materials. In this session, we are pleased to introduce you to the representatives of companies which are actively engaged in the development of mining and mineral exploration projects in Ukraine. They will shed light on the innovative approaches, technologies, and strategies being employed to make Ukraine's mining industry more sustainable, smarter, and economically viable.
Hi everyone, thank you for staying for almost the last session, last not the least, one of the most probably interesting sessions. So we're here and we have amazing speakers here, and one of them actually made all the way 20 hours journey on the bus from all the way from Kiev to Poland. So welcome, Anna. And then we have fascinating speakers and experts in the mining sector, be it on the policy, be it on the regulation, be it actually developing the resources in these unprecedented times of the unfair and unprovoked invasion. So we have Ksenia Orinchak, we have Roman Saramaga, we have Tony Lund, we have Adrian Smolin, and we have, of course, almost Ukrainian Paul Hesketh. And myself, you already been familiar with myself. And I would like also to share a little story before I pass all these amazing speakers to contribute to their discussion. So last year, in December 2022, people of Ukraine won the mining award at Mines and Money Forum, which is also a dear colleague of Arthur to some extent, for the bravery and courage. And I was very much honored to receive the award and to receive on the behalf of all the people of Ukraine. And that award actually was kindly donated to the earlier mentioned project to support the replacement of the limbs. And today we also will have, there's another project that is supporting Ukraine, and it's a charity project which you will expect to see later. So I'm very honored to chair this session and moderate it. But the real heroes you will hear here and online, who will share how the sector is reviving, transitioning, and Ukraine is becoming the mining and metals transitioning hub and powerhouse of Europe. Thank you. So we would like to start with Hannah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hanna Bashniak. I represent a Better Regulation Delivery Office in Ukraine. It's the biggest think tank in Ukraine that helps to provide institutional reforms for government agencies and for Ukrainian government at all. Today, I want to start this panel with a presentation, Reforming Ukraine's subsoil sector amidst ongoing full-scale invasion. This presentation and this report that now I show you results of this report in this presentation was prepared in the framework of EU-funded project, New Subsoil Code for Ukraine. Let me start. Today I want to focus your attention on a couple of different topics. First of all, its latest regulatory reform in subsoil use sector that took place last year, investment barriers that been eliminated within latest regulatory changes, and investment barriers that still occurs in Ukraine. And also, I want to focus your attention on status of CRM regulation in Ukraine. So let's start from the first point. It's the latest regulatory reform. On the 1st of December last year, Ukraine's parliament passed law 2805 for the implementation of legislation in the field of subsoil use. This law aims at a transparent, predictable subsoil use system. The goals of this law is to reduce state influence, to boost competition, and to legalize subsoil relations. Also, this law addresses key investment barriers and improves the investment climate. Let's overview some of the major improvements. So, Law 2805 introduces the Unified State Electronic Geoinformation System for subsoil use. It's a law-standing issues of lack of electronic services as Ukrainian Geological Survey, transparency, accessibility, and simplicity in the procedure of obtaining subsoil permit now should be resolved. Subsoil use system, it's a comprehensive electronic system covering the vast majority of the need of subsoil business while interacting with state authorities. It includes 17 databases, users' e-cabinet, reporting forms, geological data, and more. Also, it simplifies obtaining of special subsoil permits through digital procedures. The next one is the right to transfer the special subsoil use permit. So before that, there were severe barrier and risk when entity possessing a special subsoil permit must be purchased to obtain access to the subsoil. Now, Law 2805 provides for a possibility to fully or partially alienate the rights to use subsoil to third parties. This accelerates the expansion of mineral resources and domestic supply. Another one, it's international resource assessment standards. Now it is allowed to apply international resource assessment standards, and this improvement will bring more investment, increase export activity, and reduce the cost during mining operations. Legal certainty. It resolves concern about legal instability in the industry, particularly the need to streamline procedures. Now, procedures for obtaining special subsoil use permit defines at the level of a law. Before that, such procedures were defined only on a by-law level, which allowed to change procedures frequently. Now, Law 2805 ensures stable principles and procedures for obtaining subsoil permits, and also cancels outdated regulations and procedures. The next one is introducing of a comprehensive subsoil use permit. So now it's introduced comprehensive subsoil permits instead of dozen type of permits, reducing complexity and compliance costs. The next one improvement, it's sleeping permits issues. What is sleeping permits? It's meaning that the extraction has not been taken place for more than 2 years. A key investment barrier since that made attractive subsoil areas unavailable despite the absence of performed exploration. Now Law 2805 allows to revoke permits if no mining activities for more than 1 year without valid reasons. Beside good progress in addressing key investment barriers, there are still a couple of them remaining in the regulatory field, and we had identified the most significant investment barriers by providing a questionnaire among business, investors, and state authorities. So they are, first of all, it's outdated Soviet-era geological data, I'm sorry. So investors face difficulties accessing quality geological data. 90% of geological data was created during Soviet time, and it is often not digitalized. So simplifying the procedure for accessing geological data is essential now for investors. The next barriers is, for example, agreeing on production sharing agreements. It's time-consuming procedures for obtaining land plots and electricity, and it's also providing environmental impact assessment in subsoil sphere. So a strategic approach to create welcoming and transparent procedures for investors is, in these spheres is still needed. Now let me focus your attention on CRM policy. It's critical raw materials policy in Ukraine, as it's crucial for Ukraine and also for EU. Ukraine possesses plenty of critical raw materials. 27 of 34 from EU CRM's list are presented in Ukraine. You can see on previous and on these slides they list. Let me jump on another slide. And Ukraine is an important partner for European Union. In 2021, Ukraine and EU signed Memorandum of Understanding on a strategic partnership on raw material. Key focuses of memorandum, its approximation of regulatory mining framework, its integration on the CRMs and battery value chains, and its joint investment. Also has been developed partnership roadmap to implement this memorandum. BRDO, organization that I represent, is involved in the implementation of various roadmap streams via the EU-funded project development of Ukraine's new subsoil code. Now let me go back on this slide and tell you more detail on Ukraine's policy on CRM. I want to start and tell you that the main legal act that regulates CRMs in Ukraine, it's presidential decree on critical raw materials in Ukraine, and it's indicated the list of critical raw materials in Ukraine and the further steps to be achieved in the CRM's policy. So what do we have now? First of all, absence of criteria to define CRMs. Yes, we have the list of CRMs, but do not have the criteria based on which we could update this list annually. And it's a significant policy challenge that should be addressed also in the framework of implementation of presidential decree. The second one, it's there is a lack of legislative procedure for accessing the CRM. The presidential decree stated that it should be two lists. First one, list of subsoil areas provided for use through PSA procedure, and second one, list of subsoil areas provided for use through auction. As for the first one, this year, the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine approved such lists, and now indicated subsoil areas are under preparation for PSA procedure. As for the second list, the needed regulation is still pending. The last one column on the slide is a key barrier. It's a limited access to geological data on balanced resource of CRM, with much data labeled as state secret or restricted use. Taking into account the state of CRM's policy and the strategic partnership with EU, Ukraine's ongoing efforts are focused on, first of all, approving a methodology for determining CRMs in Ukraine, which already has been developed with support of EU-funded project development of Ukraine's new subsoil code. Also, what should be done to address previous problems and issues in CRM policy. It's first of all, legislative procedures for CRM access are being gradually introduced and including list of subsoil areas provided for use through auction. Also, the declassification of certain minerals balance reserves as state secret is a high priority, and the development of a model product sharing agreement and further legislative proposals to address investment barriers are in progress. So thank you for your attention. If you have any comments, I would be happy to reply on them. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Hannah. It was quite insightful presentation on the progress, what has been done since the Memorandum of Understanding has been signed and our last meeting in Brussels at the Euro Commission. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's welcome Roman. Roman, you are on the stage. Please introduce yourself, and we're looking forward to hear updates of the project.
Thank you very much, colleagues. My name is Roman Saramaga. I'm Chief Executive Officer of the Zavalevsky Graphite. Zavalevsky Graphite is the sole Ukrainian graphite producer. Before joining Zavalevsky Graphite, I was working for almost 2 years for the Ukrainian government as the deputy head of the State Geology Service of Ukraine. That's the Ukrainian mining regulator, where inter alia I achieved in launching the strategic partnership between European Union and Ukraine on strategic minerals and batteries. Closer to the point right now, I'm very happy to be, first of all, at this meeting and to give some flavor of how is everything going in Ukraine right now. In Ukraine, there is sound in the missile attack siren. So that's how we used to work in the last 2 years right here. So let's start on going back to my company. So Zavalevsky Graphite, that's the company acquired in 2021 by the Australian graphite miner and battery anode material company World Resources, the headquarters of this company in Perth, Australia. And the company has 2 major projects in Tanzania and Ukraine, and some of the gold licenses in Guinea and lithium application license in Serbia. We would like to start talking about graphite and why do graphite matters for us. When we're talking about lithium-ion battery, we call it lithium-in battery, in fact, but in fact it's not so much because in lithium-ion battery, up to 50% of its content is graphite. So you have cathode as metals, lithium, cobalt, nickel, and graphite up to 50%. So in fact, we should call lithium and batteries graphite, cobalt, nickel batteries. So we know that demand for critical minerals and for the graphite is ramping up, and Europe lacks of its resource base. So what can be provided by Ukraine is a big amount of the graphite ore and graphite concentrate produced. So Zavalevsky Graphite, that's a long-standing mine, started its operation from the 1934, so almost a century. As I told before, the sole producing graphite mine in Ukraine. We are situated in the middle of Ukraine, 65 kilometers from the border with the Moldova, and in fact, right now, 300 kilometers from the conflict zone. at our mine, we do mining, flotation, concentration, at purification. So we produce the graphite concentrate from 88 to 95 TGC content grade, and subsequently we purify it up to 99.5. We have quite substantial reserves, almost 23 million ton in our area where we're working. The license is valid till 2035. Now I will show you a snapshot of the Ukrainian minerals. So a lot of the Ukrainian critical minerals are situated geologically in so-called Ukrainian crystalline shield. Right now in Ukraine we have four big graphite deposits, two in the South Ukraine, which are under occupation right now, and in the middle of the country you see that there is the Zavalevsky graphite deposit. So as I told you before, we are mining a part of the bigger Zavalevsky field, and the overall resource over this field, it amounts up to 100 million ton of the graphite, or with the average TGC content 6.8%. This is how our mine looks. This year we started our production campaign. For sure, we challenged a number of the risks which are connected with the war, with the break of the logistic supply chains. But anyway, we already produced roughly 1,400 tons of the graphite. The previous year, we won a grant from the European Horizon Research and Innovation Funding program for a graphite anode development project, graphite. The target of this project is create supply chain of the battery or the graphite which fits battery market and anode material. This year we also were identified as a strategic asset by the European Institute of Technology, EIT, and European Raw Materials Association. Recently, we signed a letter of intent for potential supply up to 20,000 tons per annum of the graphite to the United States government. And speaking about our mine, we have not only the graphite right there, we have also other minerals. So we have a complex field. We also have a garnet ore, which can be a very interesting business opportunity with the size over $100 million in revenue. So we are right now keep developing this opportunity, and we already sending the large sample of our material to big world customer. The challenges we face with this year is with the person availability. A lot of our people are conscripted into the military, so that creates some challenges for the business. The cost of the materials and reagent rised this year due to the war, and some of the critical materials needed for our business we needed to source from other countries like Poland or other European countries. Again, these some slides of the project graphite resilience for lithium battery anodes. where we are taking part. I will not go into details. And that's will be pretty all. I probably will finish my presentation on these words and let you give the opportunity to raise any question what you can have. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions at this time? Roman, looks like everyone is very much content with your presentation. Would be great to see also faces of our speakers, so we actually can see you, because we just saw the beautiful presentation. Here we go.
Yeah.
You can wave to everyone.
Good. I'm right back.
Fantastic. All right, so at this time I think we can move to a next speaker.
Georgi Popov.
Fantastic. All right, we see you perfectly. You can wave to the audience.
Thank you. I'm the analyst from the entity which Ksenia represents, National Extractive Industry Association of Ukraine, and I would like to show my presentation. I didn't see plugin for share my screen. Now I see it. Now I see I have two presentation. Okay, this one. Do you see it?
Yes, perfectly.
Do you see it? And maybe this one part, and I wanna show another one. Yeah, okay, I will show. Just for start, I wanna represent our session in 3 words. We are National Extractive Industry Association of Ukraine. Have more than 3 years experience of work on Ukrainian market. It's a long way to make our industry more transparent, more modern, and world standard developed in Ukraine. So I will show some of our experiences. Now we are acting both as impartial arbitrator and agent of influence as a regular business associations in Europe, and now we're trying to implement the best standards of world mining in Ukraine. And my main topic of presentation about critical raw materials in Ukraine will be focused on main issues of developing critical raw materials in Ukraine comparing to other countries and regular experience. So since our inception, session has successfully addressed a number of challenges. First of all, I would like to mention that we played a pivotal role in development of mining code of Ukraine, developed in different law and different acts of our cabinet of ministers. And this effort resulted in the inclusion of provisions such as exploration of special permits. I would mention it in more details later. Elimination of fees for permit extensions, and the adoption of the national standards for reserve assessment, and the establishment of a support framework for subsoil users engaged in high value products production. We also see it as our main goal in developing industry in Ukraine. So also we finalized the draft code, received governmental committee approval for the first time for 10 years. Okay. Also, the last one assessment of our session is work on the parliamentary draft for 4187, which contributed insight from new code draft. It aims to enhance the existing legislation and concurrently pursue fruitful outcome. Also, you see our assessment in few numbers. We are working with different governmental entities, submitting public requests, crafting a comparative analytical reports, and also helps with the correspondence and communication with public and governmental sphere for Ukrainian companies. Also, we are part of European Raw Material Alliance, and It also our very, very important part of work. Now we see our assessments with on international legislation sphere. It's 31 convented meetings, work with embassies in Ukraine, and of course helps in international cooperation for our Ministry of Environment. Also, we should mention that we work with state entities which work on mining sphere. It's GeoInform, Ministry of Environment and National Resources, and of course state geological survey of Ukraine. Okay, it's a short introduction, and I would like to go to our main part. Now I will show other presentation. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So. Now, help me please tell. Do you see other presentation? Okay. 1 minute, please. Okay. Okay. Now here is it. Okay, so the main topic of our presentation is critical raw materials in Ukraine, the business and investment opportunities in context of European cooperation. As you know, Ukraine is a very powerful state in different raw materials. For example, one of them is titanium, which we are sharing more than 7% of world production. Kaolin, could I ask that you see normally my presentation and slides, because I have some technical issues. Maybe that would be better. Okay. Of course, it's iron ore. We are a very big part of world markets. Mentioned about graphite, zirconium, and uranium. But what I should mention that our association focusing on developing the production of minerals, which mentioned in European Critical Raw Material Acts of this year, which consist more than 30 minerals, and main focus would be on high added value production. I would tell about this later. Of course, the main problem is the Ukraine conflict in Ukraine. Now you see some areas affected by Russian-Ukrainian war, but on the example of our entities, of our members, you will see that Ukrainian is still very interesting place to invest, and areas where critical raw materials of Ukraine consist, where deposit lays is not affected by high intensive conflict and war. Because mostly it focused on the east of the country, and now later you see on maps that most of our critical raw materials is laid on the west of country or in the center. Now you see one of the most important goals of our association. We also took part in that event, the signing of strategic partnership between European Union and Ukraine in critical raw materials and materials. Of course, there are a lot of points of cooperation, but the most important for investor, we see the implementation of international standards. First of all, it's geological standards like implementation of JORC Codex, NI Codex, PRC Codex for oil and gas. But as a mining association which focus on ore materials, we are highly interested in implementation of JORC Code of geological standardization. Of course, titanium. Ukraine is in one of the 10 top countries leading by proven resources and production. of titanium in the world, but it's more interesting that there are few deposits and or fields which are really discovered on high level in Ukraine, and the potential investment destination for an investor is of course geological investigation and exploration in Ukraine. Of course, we have ilmenite, rutile, and zirconium, and of course, maybe you know about very potential projects in Ukraine, like producing metal from ilmenite ore in Ukraine, which means circle-round production. And of course, our state is focusing on the privatization of one of the biggest mining companies in that sphere in the world. It's United Mining and Chemical Corporation. Our association is very focused on that case, because now we see the price of the privatization is very low comparing to other markets and comparing to the perspectives of that entity. And of course, which is very important for foreign investors, that Ukraine have a circle technology, one of the few countries who could produce not only the raw material, but also highly finished production, like tubes, like parts for aviation, like chemicals. In Ukraine, it's also possible. Next one is lithium, of course, the main mineral of green transition. And for now, lithium is not mined in Ukraine, but reserve account for one of the sort of those proven in Europe. Of course, it needs more exploration, and our company, which part of our association, lithium mining, now is only one licensor in Ukraine, which are going to produce, going to assess its deposits and cooperate with European entities like European Raw Material Alliance and European Bank of Reconstruction. We undervalue the implementation of this project for primary processing requires additional 150 to 150 million of investment because of pentolite ore, comparing to more less extensive deposits in South America. But as a part of association, we're also trying to show that producing lithium with Ukraine have a lot of perspective because of our human resources capital, during to logistic nearness to European countries, and of course to deposits, comparing, for example, with Serbian deposits or Austrian deposits. Rare earth metals like tantalum, niobium, beryllium, also due to information of our geological entities in Ukraine, we know that tantalum and niobium extraction could be on commercial volumes, but also like a co-product of titanium. Also, we have Novopoltavsky rare earth field of apatite ore, and potential several other ore occurrences. And of course, we have one of the active beryllium deposits, which is licensed. I mean, Przhansky lithium deposit with reserve or more than 50.3 thousand ton of oxidium of beryllium, containing also titanium, niobium, zirconium, molybdenum, zinc, and other. Also, region which is placed Przhansky deposit ore, I mean Zhytomyrska Oblast, is also very interesting for investment because of its titanium deposits and other co-products of production. And of course, it also have developed network of railways roads and develop human resource. This deposit is licensed by BGV Group, also one of the biggest licensors in Ukraine. There are other main important mineral of green transition, it's cobalt. Now our geological survey represents 20 silicate nickel fields in Ukraine in its investment atlas, which contain cobalt as a co-product. These reserves are evaluated up to 9,000 tons. Also, we have production plants for producing high add value product like Babushki ferronickel plant and other facilities to produce cobalt batteries, for example. But also due to Ukraine investment atlas presented by Ukrainian Geological Survey, we should focus on Kapitanivsky and Prutivsky deposit, which now licensed by private investors since 2019. And of course, graphite, I would like to stop on it more, because now we also have deep work on that field. Now Ukraine is on top of the world's 5 leading countries in terms of graphite reserves, and we have 90 million tons of graphite ore with a consistent of national graphite more than 5 to 8%. We have two biggest licensors in Ukraine, which operate now, for now, 3 licenses. I mean BGV Group and the Ukrainian department of famous building construction company from Turkey, Onur. It's not the end, because also now we are preparing for other auctions, electronic auctions for other graphite fields. And what I would like to mention that graphite was one of the minerals which is not mentioned in European Union raw material Act 3 years ago when we started work on that field. Now we see growing interest from foreign investors to Ukrainian graphite industry because of our experience. Our only plant, which is mentioned by previous participator, working for more than 90 years, have a unique network of consumers, have a unique network of producing and preparing human capital for work on it. And it was a very, very good step ahead when we signed a deal with Australian producer, because now it opens good opportunities to produce higher production for batteries. Also, I would like mention that we highly recommend to see on investment atlas of Ukraine to see any additional deposits, ores and areas which could be sold on electronic auction. Now we could tell that.
Sorry, I would just like to remind of a bit of a housekeeping. We have 13 minutes left and few other.
I'm finishing the last 2 slides. About graphite, the most of them are located in the center of Ukraine, as I mentioned before. It's very secure for an investor to go in Ukrainian business. And of course, our geological survey mentions that potential prospective resources are estimated more than 100 million ton. Also, you'll see a part of strategic minerals interactive map. It's not a full list of licenses, so potential licensor in Ukraine could see online, which is or field he would like to join, he would like to work on it. He also could see market members in Ukraine by it. So he also would like to mention good work of Ukrainian State Geological Survey in Ukraine. It's a good instrument for developing our business, and maybe I should start from it, but yeah, it's a good reminder for every potential investor in Ukraine. Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention, everyone. And we need to a bit of a speed up now and move to the next speaker. And here we go. This is Australia. Kangaroos, I can see, and ostriches, and Tony London in front of that. Hopeful. Fantastic. So now on the stage we have Precious Metals Gold Company. Over to you.
Hello. The reason you're seeing my smiling face in MINEX number 3 or 4 that I'm presenting is because Arthur talked Avellano Gold into making me the presenter. Apparently everyone's going to rush in from the tea break and watch the presentation, but the hall is rather empty. So if someone can find Arthur so that I can thank him personally and get him to pass around a hat for donations for Ukraine, that would be great. So let's talk about the last presentation. In the last presentation, I expressed the difficulties in opening mines and doing mining in different countries in the world. The starting question was, would you open a mine in a war zone? And the conclusion at the end of the presentation was, yes, we would. Today we're going to present that particular mine that I suggested was worth the effort to go into Ukraine and open a base metal and gold precious metal mine. I would like to wave at Anastasia. She's going to go next with the slides. Next. Okay, why invest in Avalara? Obviously, there's a couple of drawbacks. It's in Ukraine. Now, we've just heard lots of people saying that it's great and it's quite okay to invest in Ukraine. So I'm not going to read out everything on the slides, but I'll point out the fact that this particular country is next to a bunch of other countries, and we'll get into where exactly it lies. Next. Okay, so if you have a look at the little map on your right, you'll see where the war zone in Crimea is, and then you'll see that little star, the furthest distance away from the Eastern Front. We're in the far west. Okay, it was discovered really long ago. It was developed. They did lots and lots of work, and it went into production. So we've got an old historic Soviet producing mine. And when I say that it was developed, you'll see it was developed on lots and lots of levels, and all of the uncertainty in relationship to the ore body, the metallurgy, the recovery, everything else is not there. The only stuff that we need to talk about is safety and political risk. So if you're an investor and you want to go and invest in Avalara, that's your primary focus. So when you do your DD, you'll say, do I want to invest in Ukraine, and do I want to invest in this particular deposit? Next. Okay, here is the deposit. You'll notice it's quite close to Hungary. The mine is actually about 8 kilometers. The gentlemen in the mine that are the owners and friends, etc., explained to me at one stage that a bunch of smugglers came and approached them and asked whether they wanted to build an 8-kilometer tunnel underneath the Hungarian border for bringing stuff into Hungary. We haven't scheduled that 8 kilometres into the mining schedule, and due to various reasons, I don't think we will, but we're very, very close. So it's on exactly the opposite side to where Russia is firing missiles, etc., and the environment in which it is very, very safe. So when we look at a project, we look at sovereign risk. Obviously, we're inside a country that is currently at war or suffering from a military excursion from Russia, but yes, it is quite safe. It doesn't get missiles, it doesn't get bombs, but it does suffer from a lot of the other stuff associated with a country that is at war. Next. Okay, these pictures are for the geologists. These are all included in the presentation. So when it says schematic geological map, we're not going to dwell on this. Let's just say that it's a huge ore field and it's very rich, okay? And it's part of the ore fields in this particular district. We'll talk about how much metal's in there, what type of metals there are, and whether we can mine them in a minute. Next. I am rushing because we're a bit late. Big numbers, just go and look at non-JORC compliant. So this isn't JORC compliant, but the amount of data that goes in means that with resampling, we can turn it into a JORC compliant resource. But we've got 14.4 million tonne, 1.6 gold, 27.34 silver, lead 1.24, zinc 2.23. But these are average grades. So these are average grades from over 15 ore grades in the resource above a cutoff. So you can understand that we've got a very, very good resource base, and the grade is a polymetallic. And that means that everything's there, and we will recover up to 80% of it, and it has really, really good combined metal grades. You need to understand that Muscovo and Berigo properties are both the same. So you can add the indicated below to the indicated above, and you can add the total inferred to the total inferred. So our potential resource is huge. So it's not just a small amount, and we're talking really low production to make lots of cash, to high amount of material at good grade. When I get involved, and the question is why would an Australian consultant living in Serbia go and work for a property that has sovereign risk? It's because the first thing we look at is the resource in the ground. If you've got a crap resource or a sub-economical or close to economical resource, I personally wouldn't commit our company and our services to assist them. So for this particular project, the resources are really well known. They're developed on multiple levels, and I mean there's probably about 6 levels that are developed, and there's over 15 different ore lenses, and they're all fully developed, fully sampled, fully tested. So there is no uncertainty with the resource, with the grades, and with the mineralogy, so the recovery. And it's not just one type of mineralogy. We have sulfides, we have transitional, and then we have gold ore body, which is stockwork gold. Next. This gives you the region. So this pretty map was brought out and shown to me within the first week of visiting them. And if you look down the bottom at the big number, they're saying that they've potentially got 100 million tonnes with lots and lots of the base metals. but you can see on the picture the blue and the red in the middle slightly right, and that's the part that belongs to Avalara. Okay, so out of all of that number, there's a significant percentage that belongs to Avalara. Next. Okay, so what happened? Why does Avalara exist? They had a bunch of material that was left on surface when the Soviet Union fell apart and all the rest of it, and all the bits got sold off. There were gold processing plants. They'd gone and done all their development, and they were left with a bunch of stockpiles on surface. So for various reasons, and because of people told them various things, Avalara decided to go and build a gold plant and extract the gold. Now, at this stage, they weren't interested in the polymetallics. They were just interested in the weathered stockwork gold. Unfortunately, as in the case of always, the grade in the stockpiles on surface, which was everything they pulled out of underground that sat there for 40 years and got oxide, didn't quite measure up to their expectations. And when they built the gravity plant, they found that they weren't achieving the results they expected. So when we got involved, we had a look at the deposit and we went, guys, polymetallics were all the value is, because you've got the gold, the silver, the lead, the zinc. So all the information's there. We did the analysis, we did the designs and everything else. And then they started to work on upgrading the plant. Andre is listening in somewhere. He's going to be in the next section. You can ask him the question, how many different types of machines and processes he put into his process plant. I think they're on about 4 different types of equipment, and we finally got back to the fact that we've got a nice sulfide polymetallic that makes all the money, and what we do is we float it. We grind it up, we stick it in some flotation cells, and we get good recovery. We know that we can get plus 90 on lead, we can get the 85s on zinc, and we can get the gold and silver to report to whichever concentrate they're associated with. Okay, next. Here's a pretty picture. At the moment, you can see this little one with the plants on the left. This is the clays that were in the dumps. So when they're processing the dumps, they have some sands that they can send off to the construction industry. They're still running 0.5 gram gold, so we're busy building local concrete works with, 0.5 gram of gold in them, and the clays that we can turn into roof tiles, so we can actually make 0.5 gram gold roof tiles and pop on your roof if we choose to use the clays for the construction of roof tiles. I would like to point out in the point number 3, that's the processing. No, it's not this one. It'll be the next one. And on the right is the concentrate. Okay. If you look at point number 3 here, it says final processing studies to get the zinc into a carbonate and make gold bars. To be perfectly honest, I had to look up what the hell you do with zinc carbonate. I understand zinc concentrate. We go and stick it on a boat and we send it off and we make zinc coating for various types of steel and everything else. Does anyone in the room know what we do with zinc carbonate? And why we would produce it? Because we go and make a zinc concentrate and then we have to do stuff to it to turn it into a zinc carbonate. This is something that I will give Avalara 100% credit for, is they can sell zinc carbonate not to zinc concentrate to China, but they can sell it inside their own country. So if we take the zinc concentrate, we turn it into carbonate, then we can sell it into the Ukrainian market, and it's used for fertilizer, feed, skin products, etc., etc. Okay? And if you look at the point below it, they don't want to sell their con into China, but to EU and internally. So when we're talking with the presentations and stuff after this one, please be aware that the owners of the company are focused on supporting the Ukrainian economy and selling products into Ukraine and into EU. Okay? For the geologists, I won't ask you to put your hands up. I don't even know whether there's any geologists there. The picture to the left is coarse gold. The picture to the right is blue, right? So blue is not lead, blue is not zinc. It's copper. So nowhere in the presentation to date have you seen copper mentioned. But if you look at the rock picture, when we open the mine back up and let oxidation come in, where we walk through the sulfide ore bodies, we see this, okay? So we haven't mentioned copper. There is a significant copper percentage that you can physically see underground. We've seen some barite and we've seen some copper sulfides, but they never assayed for them. So potentially, when we're wandering through, you can tell from the mineralogy that not only will they have the lead, zinc, gold and silver, but we will have probably reasonable copper grades. Okay? Now, I could be wrong. Any geologists, when we ask questions, feel free to say that blue colour is not copper. Next. Okay, this is the basics with the economics. Anyone that is not interested in economics can pop off and grab a drink or go to sleep. But they're currently investing about $5 million in getting to the minimum production rate so that they can make a little bit of money. At 500,000 tonnes per annum, they make lots of money, and then they want to turn it into a public company and then get their cash back. So this is what companies do. So currently we've got a bit of cash and we're going to ramp up to 200 Ks per year. And there's a bunch of stuff we need to do, but it's all achievable from my opinion. And we're going to assist them in getting from where they are currently up to 200 K from underground, sulfide, and make some serious money. Okay, next. Okay, this is just a bunch of tables with where the money goes. If you want to have a look at it, please do. It's stuff that was presented by a consulting firm. The important ones for those people that are really interested is the total mining cost and the total processing costs. If you add them together, you get to $70 US a tonne. Given the fact that it's Ukraine and it's got low wages and everything else is quite reasonable, that's not a bad number. Ask any of the mining consultants that have popped along to your meeting. You should be able to produce from an underground at the 500,000 tonne a year at this number. So the total costs and the economic models and the other revenue graphs and stuff all appear to be baseline given the part of the world and given the costs reasonable. Next. Okay, this is the cash flow type stuff. The IRRs are insane. So you're looking at 78. If you want to build shopping malls, just for your reference, it's about 30. Okay, this is the stages involved. So they believe within 5 years they can go and pop this thing on the market and raise a bunch of money and have a company worth a reasonable amount of dollars. I'm not going to try and justify the million ounces reserves or the company valuation. That's all based on who does the work. Next. Okay, here's some people and some photos and what they do. You can notice me on the right. So, yep, I gave the presentation and we have a bit of experience in mining. And there you go. If you want to have a chat with them, just drop some info, and I'm sure that Andre or whoever else is on the end of the list will provide you with other information that you need.
Thanks.
Have we got time for a quick story, or we're out of time?
If it's only a good story. Hey,
oh, it's a great story. When we first went to visit, I popped out of Serbia with my Serbian mining engineer, Jovan. He's a very good mining engineer. And we drove up through Hungary, headed to Ukraine. When we got to the Ukraine border, we had to have a bunch of documents. So we had the invitation letter, we had insurance because of COVID and everything else. We handed our passports in to a very attractive Ukrainian lady at the border. And she went, and got on the phone. So we sat and held up some traffic in the line for a bit, and she said, can you just pull off to the side? So we thought, nah, this doesn't look good. And then a while later, a guy in a military type uniform, so not a border guard or anything else, military type uniform, he comes out to speak to us. And he pokes his head in the window and he says, guys, do you know that Ukraine is at war? And we went, yeah, we saw it on the news. And he said, you know that I'm not going to let you in. Piss off. So we drove for like 7 hours through one border to actually get to the border crossing. Hello, Andre. And this guy was saying, we won't let you in. And I thought, okay, so I got my phone out, and of course, I don't have data in Ukraine or anything else, and we're at the Ukrainian border. And I know if I make a phone call or text on data, it's going to cost me a fortune. But I started trying to contact Andre. He's in the picture. So that was fine right up until the point that my mining engineer decided, and we all know that from the media that Serbia was supporting Russia and was having support protests and everything else. And apparently the Ukrainian people at the border had watched the news, but he decided that he would assist and try and speak Russian to the border guards. Now, that was understandable, but a bit silly. I was speaking English, so all of a sudden, I've got my mining engineer trying to speak Russian to the guys at the border that wouldn't let us in. They invited him out of the car, dragged him off into this big office where he had this bright light shining in his face. And by that stage, I managed to contact Andre. And Andre made a couple of calls to various people. Eventually, they let him out of the interrogation back into the car so we could cross the border. So yes, when you're doing things in a country that is in a conflict, you really have to be careful what language we spoke. So every time we crossed the border after that, my mate Jovan didn't say a word in Serbian or Russian. I spoke in English and they just went, look, crazy Australian, we'll just let him through. So yes, that's my border story. Okay? Next.
Thank you so much for cheering us up. That's fantastic. As actually a lot of stories we've heard also from miners like yourself in Africa and South America. So on one side it's very funny, on the other side it's there's many countries as well experiences similar kind of experiences, and let's respect and share our passion and compassion for those countries and people of those countries who are helping us and cooperating. So, Andrei, thank you so much as well.
Thank you very much.
For saving Tony on the border. That was very useful.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, for advertising the guy who can help.
Anyway, if you have any problems on the Ukrainian border, just make a couple of calls to Andrei, and I think he will try his best to sort it out. Just make sure you don't speak Russian. That's the clue here. Right. Last but not least, so before we are going into the charity part and the foundation part and this nice supporting part of Ukraine, and of course our drinks reception kindly supported with the British government. Over to you, Paul. Do you have anything to share, some stories with us as well?
I've certainly not got any stories as colourful as Tony's in terms of crossing borders. I think that actually there's one that springs to mind, but probably some of it's in the telling. But I did get one visit to Chernobyl and into the exclusion zone and actually into the control room for the kind of currently operating reactor, which is next to the one that exploded many years ago, and we were being given a briefing in relation to operations for the reactor that was in Ukrainian, and the station operator just carried on with the monologue that he was giving, and in the background the emergency alarm was going off, and this went on for about 10 minutes until the interpreter stopped him and said, you'd better tell why the alarm is going off. That was slightly unnerving.
Well, that's a good story. Thank you so much. We have enough other stories in Ukraine, but hopefully some of them will be over soon. Any interesting projects you have to share, or some developments?
No, I think there's many things going on in the Ukraine, and when you're looking at the reconstruction policies that are coming forward from the Ukrainian government, not only is it build back better, but it's build back in the West, and that gives an awful lot of opportunity to look at using some of these kind of mine sites in the west of the Ukraine and use those as strategic sites. I mean, they are located in close proximity to the Polish border, and there's ready economic potential to redevelop those and use those. The work that we've done in the Ukraine has spread from Novovolinsk down to Chervonograd, which is about 60 kilometers or so to the south in the Lviv region, and we're looking currently at a kind of energy policy there, and how those sites can be master planned to look at kind of renewables and what the right mix of energy policy is for those sites. And there's an awful lot of work going on to kind of link the EU and the Ukraine, and a kind of new hydrogen corridor that's been agreed at a very high level between the EU and Ukraine.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think we've heard a bit of updates, challenges, and opportunities from MINEX guys. But Anna, way forward. I mean, it's quite a journey we have embarked on. So, what's your story in terms of how we're going to change risks into opportunities, and what is their actual pragmatic and practical risk management strategy there?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. I have an answer in one word. It's opportunities. Besides the war, Ukraine has a lot of opportunities right now, and as you know from my presentation, that there are a lot have been done in Ukraine since last year. Despite of the war, Ukraine reforming its subsoil sector. Ukraine makes its business climate more favorable for business, more suitable for investors, and Ukraine is thinking out about its reconstruction and rebuilding efforts in the future. So I think that it's a great time and opportunity to invest in Ukraine. You can see that a lot of people still living in Ukraine. It's actually me, and a lot of people doing business in Ukraine. So my suggestion is like opportunities. So invest in Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we have a lot of powerful people here, and thank you so much for staying until now. Do you have an ask? Maybe if there is any particular questions, first of all, from the audience? I can see right there, Artur.
Okay, Anna, thank you very much. Yeah, I've got a question, one for Tony. It's actually a comment to Tony. Tony, if you remember last year when we were in Tirana, in Albania, and at the reception, and you were kind of telling you colorful stories about, you know, how you do business in Ukraine. And we were deciding, you know, what to do next and so on and so forth. You said, you know, like, okay, you know, try to promote Ukraine. So this is what we're doing today. So blame yourself for volunteering. So you got invited and you actually got the spotlight. So we've got a long memory. Right, and I've got probably actually kind of a question for all speakers here who are online and in person here. Obviously, you know, we care about Ukraine, and this is the reason we are organizing this session. Just provides the opportunity for people who are working on the ground despite the ongoing workable conflict. Is just kind of to explain and to showcase that the war, no war, the money is still actually going. But realistically, we are always looking for opportunities to promote mining across Europe. So my question to you, to all of you, two questions really. Okay, when do you think actually it will be safe for us to organize MINEX Europe Forum in Ukraine, and what would be the main topics? Think hard and give a very brief answer to us. Thank you.
Ladies first.
Oh, if I may, actually, you can organize MINEX Forum even tomorrow, because now we have a lot of events that are going in Ukraine, but we organize them in underground places that is safe from rocket shelling. So, like, it's not a problem right now for Ukraine to organize something like that. Thank you.
Okay, so Artur, when are we coming?
Tomorrow, yeah.
It backfires.
Okay, so the reason actually I'm asking this question, it's not just when, but why. Okay, I'll give you a reason why we're in Poland. We're in Poland because Poland is actually on the verge of making history in terms of phasing out coal. And the recent elections campaign, which now proves to be you know, in our corner, is going to be, they will be introducing large changes in terms of the shift from the coal mining towards the developing renewable, for instance, resources. So this is one of the reasons actually we wanted really kind of to organize the event in Poland, because basically that was a huge opportunity. As you probably are aware, the funds for Silesian transition, for the coal phase out in Silesia, in Lower Silesia, is over 12 million euros, if I'm not mistaken. The other reason actually we wanted to have a forum and promote in Poland is because it's now post-mining areas are now being converted into the new hubs for using the materials like to produce the batteries. So LG has recently opened, about 2 years ago, I think even less than that, opened up the largest battery production in the world. So it's kind of just right on our doorstep. Poland is number 2 after China. The battery producer for electric cars, and the list is quite long. So it's all on the website. So the reason actually we go to a particular country, which actually becomes the host, is because there are opportunities not just for the politicians but also actually for real businesses, you know, to go there and to develop the projects. So that's why I'm actually asking the people on the ground and people actually in the audience, you know, give us a hard reason, you know, why. Okay, when it's okay, understood, underground, it works for us. We like the challenge. But why and what are the opportunities there in Ukraine? We understand the war is not going to last forever, so there will be opportunities for rebuilding. And what are the focal points? What are the business opportunities from your point of view?
So if I may continue, About reasons. So also, as I mentioned in my presentation, Ukraine imposes 27 of 34 CRMs from EU list. So like it's the main reason why you should go and invest into Ukraine, because no other European countries has such deposits of critical raw materials. And the second point, it's also business climate that Ukraine wants to create and is working right now on it. Thank you so much. So,
it was the question for all speakers.
Dear online speakers,
Online and in person.
we need your contribution. Do we have any comments from Ukraine?
I'm not from Ukraine, but I'm...
Tony, are you still on the border?
Yes. I talked Arthur into having a focus on Ukraine in this particular Poland bit. From the outside world and what we look at, you would realise that everyone's given a lot of money, both in military aid, humanitarian aid, and everything else. And if you look at history, anytime the world gets involved in a conflict in a country, when it's over, they want some investment back. So the rest of the world is there saying, okay, we're going to do reconstruction. This isn't because they're a bunch of nice people. All the European countries, America, everybody else would like to invest in Ukraine so that they can get some return. Now, we all realise that Ukraine is there and they have very, very good agriculture, but they also have lots of mineral resources. So when the conflict is over and it's stable, we already know that there's a bunch of mining companies that have donated lots of money to go and invest in mineral resources so that they can start mines and the rest of the world can get a little bit of cash back. So in answer to the question from a purely capitalistic, purely we want some cash back, there is such a great opportunity, and the organisations or the institutions already exist. So in this period between the conflict zone and when there's some sort of normalisation or peace, there will be a lot of work going on so that when the conflict stops, you will have access and you will have assistance in your country to open up the mineral resources. And we've already seen a bunch of available resources and what's there. And Ukraine is such a big country and they have lots and lots of opportunity. So my advice is sometime, not maybe next year, but sometime in the coming years, you should have MINEX in Ukraine, particularly focused on potential and how to start companies up and get some of these international organisations funded by big mining companies along so that the companies within the country have access to those people, those funds. So that's just my 5 cents worth.
Okay, and I'll add to my sense. Wearing my investment hat, and probably what we heard today from Gonzalo Waldman and as one of the first sessions, so where those unicorns will be coming, the real unicorns, not just the pink ponies. Also, we like pink ponies as well. It would be great investment community and other communities and other stakeholders to help to structure those projects and to prepare a good pipelines and potentially even create PPP of the light type of assets. So we're not talking about the heavy lifting development bank type of PPP, but maybe sort of a private public capital backed with their, of course, potentially de-risked with their public capital or some export guarantees, export finance agencies, be it the United Kingdom, which we heard today very much in the morning, be it collaboration between the UK and Ukraine, or Commonwealth countries, Europeans. There's plenty of opportunities. However, I'd like you to think from that perspective as well. And it's not a one-man show. It's a collaborative effort between the technology transfer, between the knowledge transfer, between the consulting opportunities. And there's an amazing friend of Ukraine is sitting right here in this auditorium, Lassi from the Mining Finland. Thank you so much for supporting us and your government, dearly supporting Ukraine and already contributing to its economic development right here, right now. And I'd like you to encourage all to come back. And like I just encourage everyone on their award when I received, remember that we all, each of us, carry a light. Light inside, which right now is right in my eyes. We just joked that it was a light, bright light, white light meditation, thankfully not noise. But to think how we all can contribute to the opportunity development, and you've got a lot of experience, practical knowledge and experience, and most importantly, wisdom how to navigate in the transition, in the risks, in the risk zones, in the conflict zones across different parts of the world. And Ukraine is one of the many, one of 27. Now it's one of 30 or 40 even. So we would need to apply those skills and to accelerate their transition change without waiting for government to step in or some other government, public bodies or centralized body to step in, because we are turning into more sort of DAO set up, decentralized autonomous organizations and collaborative environments, which we see in every industry, collaboration between upstream, midstream, downstream, and of course in a horizontal way. So I would love you to bring that light to Ukraine and other places in the world which very much require that. Practical wisdom, knowledge, innovation, and the capital will follow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. And as promised, it's not advertised in the program, but I've said in the morning that there will be, before the drink reception, we'll have a presentation by Foundation Ukraine. So this is the organization we as a forum organizers are supporting. We'll play a short video introduction, and then we'll invite the representative of the foundation to come up on stage. Video first, thank you.
Dear participants, the MINEX Europe Forum is dedicated to more than just knowledge sharing and industry meetings. It's about making a tangible, positive impact on the communities it touches. We are delighted to welcome the leaders of the Foundation Ukraine, a non-government charity organization that has been operating in Lower Silesia since 2013. The Foundation initiatives focus on fostering education, development, and integration for migrants and refugees. Its daily efforts revolve around providing support, knowledge, connections, and opportunities that help individuals thrive within Polish society. In their presentation, the leaders of the Foundation Ukraine will talk about the dynamic evolution of corporate social responsibility with a particular focus on its shift from a mere tool for enhancing corporate reputation to a core component of modern business practices. Presenters will also talk about the humanitarian challenges experienced in Ukraine and Poland, delving into how humanitarian efforts play a pivotal role in bolstering resilience and driving both societal and economic advancement. After the presentation, we will ask you to donate to the charity fundraising campaign organized by the Foundation Ukraine. We are raising funds to provide essential support for the children from the Ukrainian refugee families who have migrated to Lower Silesia to seek peace destroyed by the Russian invasion.
Anastasia tour. So I think we need to give them a space and a stage and make a pause. Sorry, we've been always like completely deep dive, and personally I've donated. So, I've done my little contribution, but please explain us what you're doing and what are your achievements and where are you heading to with this project?
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting us as a partner, social partner of conference, for inviting us in person here. How much time do we have? because I think
I would rather ask audience how much patience you have before the drinks, but hey,
We'll
Our
try
drink
to be
reception
brief.
starts at 5:30.
we'll be brief. We'll be brief, and I think it would take a lot of time to explain all the things that we are doing in Wrocław, in Lower Silesia, because as you could see, like we work here since 2013, and I think I won't be doing this elaborate about CSR and changing about CSR in years, because right now we can all understand that it's not about CSR only, it's not about our cleaning our brand or something like that, it's about sustainability. And big companies, big businesses, right now their goals are to become sustainable, because our partners, investors, and employees are waiting this from us. So I think it's about sustainability, how we can create a good society and become one of the main players in this society, not only focusing on profits, not only focusing on our simple goals, like we are NGO, we focus only on people, but since 2013 we learned that we should also work with our partners in government and learn how to think from their perspective to create a good projects, not only for people for today or for tomorrow, but for the years to come. So, and we should learn how to work with business and how to see the world from your perspective, and how to be effective for you, because we want to be partners, not only takers, like NGO who wants to provide something. We don't want only take from you. I say like in front, like money to do something good. No, we can together do something good. So how and right now businesses, it's not only organizations or like corporations says to make a profit, like Milton Friedman said in 1970s. I think in these 50 years it changed, and businesses right now are great lobbyists for interests of countries even. They're supporting governments, they're supporting NGOs, they're supporting changes in our communities, they're supporting environment changes. And I can see that last 5 years of COVID and in the war in Ukraine, they show that businesses could even be like a main player of the military power of the whole country, because a lot of businesses right now, they are funding a big NGOs that support Ukrainian armies. So it's really important right now for all of us to understand that it's about sustainability, it's about a big cooperation, and we all are very valuable players of all this building our world initiative, I think, how I would call it. So, and it's about foundation, you can read in our Facebook, Instagram, or our webpage. We work here for migrants, with migrants. We combine our knowledge as migrants, because 70% of foundation is migrants who lives in Poland, in Wrocław. But also we combine our knowledge, our experience as migrants to create a good projects for migrants, but also with cooperating with local businesses and local government. We are becoming a good partner for Polish community into this process of integrating and to become, I think, to become a very vibrant and intercultural community that Wrocław is becoming right now. And Wrocław is like a city of meetings, it's their motto. And I think we are part of the strategy that city has, that the region has, how to become a really great hub between West and East, between like West European countries, Ukraine, Poland, and other countries of East Partnership of Poland. So I'm done talking. Thank you for your attention. Like the last thing that I told, that when I saw the topic that how the CSR changed in years and how the, I think, appearance of NGOs has changed in years, I remember the situation and I wanted to share it with you, that for me this changing of like how the world, how people start treat NGOs and CSR management and ESG management in their companies, how it's changed, how it's when my parents stopped asking me question like, when do you find a normal job instead of this in NGO, and they started bragging with their friends about what I'm doing and about my job. So I think this is the change it was personally for me, and I think this is the change that we are seeing, that right now we are not different sectors. We're like really sometimes equal, sometimes somebody has a better perspective on things, but players of the one whole job that we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anastasia,
Yeah.
do you have some successful integration or maybe very inspirational stories to share by some of your
Yeah, I think
people?
I could address maybe not integration and migration issues, but rather humanitarian, as I have quite a lot of experience in this sector. And our organization has been collaborating on many levels with businesses, organizations, governments, and in local level, national level, and international organizations. And it brought very different perspectives into our job and allowed us to create and develop our projects more effectively. And some of the particular stories, probably the best examples would be from the last year, when the full-scale war in Ukraine has begun, and Wrocław has become one of the top destinations for the refugees that were arriving there, thousands daily. And our organizations, being a reliable partner in the region for many years and having a vast network of business partners and local governmental regional partners, there we've been able to establish the cooperation on the reception point at the railway station. I think some of you already been there today or a few days before you arrived. And you can imagine this place being filled with hundreds and thousands of people running away from war. And I believe that managing the ambiguous environment, the unprecedented flow of refugees and migrants and people in the region is one of our success stories, that we've been able to work 24/7 for many months, day and night. We've had our 10,000 volunteers at this point that have been there to help and assist these people. As for the business perspective, because I understand you're here representing businesses and looking for some answers, whether it's worth to work with Ukraine or whether it's worth to invest in Ukraine, rather from mining perspective, and me not being the mining expert, I cannot give you answers to this, but I am sure that it's worth investing in people in Ukraine and in Poland and in Europe. And this is something that our organization has expertise in. We are developing communities and partnering up with businesses like yours, partnering with organizations allows us to contribute to the social and economic inclusion of these people here. It contributes to the development of the region and the economy on many levels. Today I was preparing to share some insights, some observations that we had working with businesses here and why they benefited from working with us and joining humanitarian efforts. But I'm not going to take much of your time because I understand you're quite all tired. But I'll briefly say 3 points. First, when you decide to invest your time, resources, and energy in incorporating humanitarian effort projects into your CSR strategies, you are actually investing in your own company by promoting and developing the sustainability, adaptability, and organizational resilience. As you join such projects, such humanitarian projects, you get out of the comfort zone, you fast forward your innovation processes as you push and encourage your team to come up with more creative solutions, as we in organizations usually face with very different situations on a daily basis. So for us, it's quite normal that today we come to work and something new completely appears and we react to this. But businesses plan in the long term. You need objectives, you need to develop your strategies to work efficiently. And when you get out of this comfort zone working with us on the addressing humanitarian efforts and something that is unprecedented, you are creating opportunities for new solutions, not only for the society, but also for your own companies. The second point is that you're contributing to the resilience of your organizations as well of the general community by improving your employees that are working with us, and it means benefits not only for the region, not only for our beneficiaries, but it also means benefits for the company, whether there are some internal or external changes. For example, there's a change in the leadership of your company, or there are some financial setbacks that you're facing, or external, if there are some unprecedented economic changes or regulation changes. Your company will be more resilient to those changes if you, on a sustainable basis, cooperate to address humanitarian issues and societal issues. So this is the second one, and I think this is pretty much it. The last but not the least, I wanted to say that you're here today trying to understand and navigate the situation in Europe, how to develop businesses, to find partners, to find investors, and to decide for yourself whether it's worth working with Ukraine. And you're also talking about the reconstruction and days when the war is over, and this day will be soon, hopefully. But I wanted to stress that the reconstruction efforts are not only about the reconstruction of the infrastructure, about expanding businesses, it's also about the reconstruction of society. And we do not need to wait till the end of the war to be able to start rebuilding the society. This is something we can start doing now by investing in the development of people, of their competences, of their integration, and bringing up their competencies to new standards, EU standards. And this is something I believe our foundation is good at. It's something we could be a reliable partner to you in case you decide to invest in people. So thank you for having us, thank you for supporting, and in case you want to support our activities, please talk to me in the hall, or you could also join our fundraising campaign, which is posted on the MINEX website. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have as for the potential for collaboration. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your patience, dear audience.